So it essentially works right now where you have two weeks each. In other words, you have what's called a cohort. That's a big word, but anyway, you have an A and a B week, and this is how complicated it is. So you might get lost, which is absolutely fine, but you have A week is juniors and seniors, which is the upperclassmen. So 11th and 12th graders, they come in Mondays and Tuesdays, Monday and Tuesday, and it divided in half by the alphabet. So on Monday, you have A through L with the alphabet physically in the classroom here, and then you have M through Z on the Zoom on the smart board at the same time. And you teach that way with a wireless mic, and I have the camera right up over there for me. The camera is just like that, so I switch it from there to there. And so that's what my classroom looks like. So you have here, you have spread out the desks 6 feet apart if they sit every other one, okay? Not like this, but here to there, that's 6 feet, and that's 6 feet, and so forth. So and it's very complicated, I'll be honest with you. And so that's that. And then the next day, they switch it. So it's the other class. So it's the A through L kids are then going to be on the Zoom and so forth. And it does it that way. And then while that's going on, all 10th graders and 9th graders, they're at home that week. So you have to do remote there. And then they switch that formula for the next week and so forth. So sadly, you get to only see the kids twice in 2 weeks, physically twice in 2 weeks. Friday is an online day. It's shortened classes because we're finding kids are getting burnt out with the Zoom and all the time on the computer and this and that. I'm exhausted today. I was correcting all day online and with the kids on the Zoom all day as well, because I have 2 senior classes today and they're at home this week. So it is what it is. It's very complicated. Well, yeah, but it's a new schedule this year. It's completely different from what it used to be. It should be 56 minutes, 6 classes a day, 56 minutes. Now it's 80-minute classes, and there are 4 of them with some breaks and so forth going on. So it's a different schedule, but yes. Is there 80 minutes worth of teaching? No. I mean, by the time you take attendance and ask how's everybody doing and the nuts and bolts, it's down even shorter. And then there's just so much you can do. As my friend said in the history department here, and he's so true, every teacher in the building, including me, this is my 25th year teaching, everyone's a first-year teacher. So think about you just, you got a routine you're doing, and you've got lesson plans planned for, I teach a World War II class, as you know, and I have certain lessons and they work out great and here and there, but I just can't do that on the Zoom. So I have to look at each lesson and say, I can't do that. I can do that, but I have to modify that, or I'm going to keep that and use that. So every day I am just planning out the next lesson of how to do it, as opposed to before. I get this one. I know what I'm doing here. I know what I'm doing here. I know what I'm doing here. But it's completely different teaching online than in front. Sure, it's clicked. So if I'm having a remote classroom, right? So they're all at home, I wouldn't use this camera, right? There's no need to have that camera on. However, if I am having kids coming into the class, I would start the Zoom with this camera on, and the kids can actually see some of their classmates coming into the classroom. They're supposed to come over here
And as they come in, they get, the hand sanitizer and they sit down and, and then they can hear my voice, right? Because I have this mic on, right? But they have that camera there and I might be over here like this, at my computer station so they don't see me, but they can start seeing kids come in and I can see them like I can see you right now and say, hey, Christian, welcome back. Thanks for coming in. Fantastic. And another one will beep in, hey, how you doing? And then there's kids coming in on the Zoom and they're coming into the from the hallway. And then I would take attendance and I just yell out their name when I take attendance, roll call, right? And, Johnny here, Evelyn here, Sammy here, and so forth. And then I send down the attendance and then I get started. I go, okay, folks, what we're going to do today is we're going to be talking about, take out your notebooks and so forth. And in fact, what I do is I have notes up here on the Smart Notebook file. And so if I share the screen, right, you know how to share the screen with Zoom, at home, they'll actually see the Smart Notebook file on the screen. And then they'll see it there as well because it's going to be up here, and that's how I teach. I pull down the shade and show the notes about World War II, about, I don't know, Bastogne or whatever, and then we just go. So they'll see this screen here for the notes online at home on the Zoom because I shared the screen, and they'll see it because it's live right here in front of them as well. So, and they take notes that way.
Yes and no. Once again, it's live. It's not getting recorded like this, which is fine. But yeah, it's a little bit different because you have kids at home that are listening in their kitchen and so forth, and you can have the parents around, which is fine, And I'm not going to say anything bad, but it's just in your mind, you have to just watch yourself a little bit more about what you're doing. Now, once again, I'm never inappropriate in class and all that stuff, but it's just another added thing that you have to remember to do. You know what I mean? No, we decided to get rid of that because this year is definitely different. Throw out traditional learning this year, throw out what you're going to be covering this year. You're just not going to get to all the material that you're going to usually get to. In a history class, in a history 9 class, it's just, you choose as a teacher what you think is appropriate for the kids and go with it. There are like 11 units we usually go through. We'll probably get through 8 or 9 the entire year. It's just things we have to get rid of or we have to shorten down as well. So one of the things is we usually have final exams in January and in June, and they take a whole week. So to get that week back for instruction, to help out, we got rid of all the exams. Now, I can give an exam if I want to myself in my classroom, but it's not just 1 week that the whole school is doing exams at the same time. Yeah, it's just, well, they're applying for colleges. Colleges are taking this stuff into consideration. It's as simple as that. Grades, no grades. In the fall, in the spring, when this whole thing broke, we didn't have grades. We had pass fail. And actually everybody passed. People didn't know what to do. As you know, one of the best ways to learn, I have it up in my room, one of the best ways to learn in life is through your mistakes, right? You make a mistake, you learn from it. I'm not going to do it that way anymore. So it's the first time going through it. And there were definitely mistakes done in the spring. And so, but colleges understood that and they're taking into consideration all that situation. So we're just doing the best we can. It's as simple as that. Oh, absolutely. It's not as vigorous as it usually is as well. I'm accepting things late, not really heavy assignments, and some kids are rising up to the challenge and some kids aren't. They're getting distracted. They're working more. They're just chilling at home. And it's tough because you can't monitor like you can in the classroom. You know, I find a lot of my kids have phones right next to them and they're looking down and all that stuff, and they're just getting distracted. You know, I don't blame them. I don't blame them. It's a tough situation. Some of them are addicted to their phones, social media. I mean, heck, you can put parents into that. You can put adults into that situation. You know, it's just very tempting. So where the kids struggled in high school to begin with, this is just, it's not a very good environment for them. That's what I'm finding with kids, and they're telling me that. I just, you know, some kids are actually choosing, get this, to come into school physically. They have to get permission and have to go through the channels. But instead of staying at home, they just can't focus at home. They just can't do it at home. They have to be in this educational environment to help out. Most just get them at home. You know, they buy them, they already had them. But there was a program here at the high school. Again, I'm just talking about this high school. I can't talk about anybody else, but different districts. But yes, there were, if you needed a device, there was a pickup that you could pick up a laptop, usually, you know, a Dell or a HP or whatever, and to take home. Yes. It's very strict, very mandatory that the state, now the state did say that you have to take attendance, you have to keep attendance, and you have to submit the attendance. So yes, that is correct. You have to be there. It's cumbersome. It's not what it used to be. I have to take a good couple of minutes because it's different codes now. So there's RA, which means remote absent. RP, remote present. P for present, A for absent if they're here. So I have to go through all that at the beginning of class, go down RA, this person's RA, this person's RP, this one is P, present, 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 A for absent, and so forth, and then send it off. And then if somebody comes in late to the Zoom, I have to go back in and change it from remote absent to remote present because they actually did come in. That's why it takes so long to do it. It's just, it's definitely different. If there's students present, yes, like right now, there's nobody here. There was nobody in the classroom today all day because they were all remote. No, I don't have to. My big thing was we started with remote only for the first month. Then when we went to a hybrid and the kids started coming in, I got so used to doing this without the mask on. It was fine. It was fine. Then when they started to come in, I had to put the mask on. It's a whole other thing to do this and to speak at the same time and to get up. And then it was kind of warm, and I'm on the 4th floor here and there's no air conditioning, and it starts getting sweaty, and it's just like miserable to have it in. And then if somebody comes in the door right over there, right, I'll put it on. Yeah, I'll put it on and we'll talk until another teacher. But as soon as they leave, I just take it off and so forth. So that's the procedure. We have, what we have this year is called an open campus. An open campus was a long time ago when I went to school here many years ago, as you know, we had what's called an open campus, that if you got permission, you got to leave if you had a free period or you had an off period or whatever the situation is. And they decided to bring that back this year because they don't want as many kids in the building, obviously, physically. So the kids can go out. So you know what they've been doing for lunch an awful lot? Instead of going down to the lunchroom, which are now spaced out very different, the kids have been getting lunches or bringing lunches and going to their cars and sitting in their cars with the radio on, eating lunch for half an hour. Go figure. Go figure. I'll be honest with you, everyone has been wearing their mask. I haven't seen one kid not wearing a mask in a month and a half now of doing this. They're very good about it. So I'm assuming the consequence would be that, you know, they would be spoken to like, you know, it's a safety issue and protect others and all that stuff. But I haven't heard anyone boycotting not wearing masks. The students that really need one-on-one online in-person instruction, they have been coming in the whole time. So about, I don't know, I can't even speculate how many kids, but those kids that need extra attention, special ed kids, that they are in certain rooms in the building with one-on-one, and it's safe and all that stuff. So yes, they have been able to come in, opt to come in, yeah. Awesome. That's a great question. At our school, no one can use the lockers anymore. So they have to just carry their stuff with them. Granted, they probably only have 3 at the most classes. So there's not a lot of books and notebooks to bring with them. But they are, yeah, I know what you mean with the lockers and the big hallways and all that stuff. Our hallways are not actually that big, but they cannot use their lockers. It's forbidden this year. It's it's still up in the air. There's a lot going on. They have to trace where the person was, and they contact in more than 15 minutes, and there's this whole thing. There has been some teachers, and as you know, it's the threat of having COVID, right? You might not have it, but it's the idea like, I'm not feeling too well, I should go get tested. Well, you got to tell people that just in case you do have COVID. And then it might take a couple of days. So you have to make sure that you're in quarantine for a couple of days until it comes back negative. So that is a situation. Now, if you're teaching online and you still feel okay, yeah, you can do that. But the idea is that's the whole thing. Like if I'm supposed to come in the classroom and I don't feel well, you have to get a substitute. Somebody has to be physically in here, you know, for safety issues, an adult in the classroom. So it's just a mess. It's just a whole mess. And thank goodness it hasn't happened to me yet, but I can just foresee in the mind of the teachers, like, how am I going to teach? And I don't want the kids to get behind and all that stuff. So. Yeah, I'm thinking, I asked some other teachers today. I didn't know exactly how many, but it seems like every other day we get an email that some students are coming down with it. Some students have been, tested positive. Um, I'm thinking this school has about 1,200 students total. I'm thinking positive results around 15 so far. Okay, and still, it's still out there, right? So we haven't, it's still spiking, as you know, in the United States. So it's expected to go up. Yep. They do a lot of investigating, like, okay, this person was in this class, and granted, once again, if the person's in here, most classes do not have more than 10, roughly 10, 15 kids in each class, right? So that's not like a full class of 30 like I usually have in here. So you have to trace back who the person came in contact with close, what teachers were involved and all that stuff, and they're notified. And so now they're quarantined until we get a positive result or a negative, correct? And then if it's positive, then they're going to be going to get testing, and it's just a mess. You've got some kids that miss physically coming into the building. They're sick of being home and on the Zoom. They need interaction. And then some kids are absolutely fine with it. They don't particularly like to go to school. They don't want to get up early, that type of thing there. So they're doing fine with it. But what I will state is that I don't know of any teacher that I know that actually kind of likes this going on. They cannot wait till this is done and go back to something that's relatively normal, with the lessons and in person and no masks and just sitting where you're supposed to sit and all that stuff. Can't high five anybody anymore. You can't shake hands. You can't hug. You can't do anything like that. And I don't know. I just can't wait myself to go back to not having to wear these anymore. I don't know about you, but hopefully there'll come a day where I never do another Zoom. I'm all Zoomed out. I'm done. They're accepting it. And once again, the big thing, as you know, is the vaccine is supposedly right around the corner, and I think that's what's keeping people going. You probably remember this, but I don't know if anybody else would on this video. But coming up in a week and a half is, well, next week is going to be Thanksgiving. It's the since maybe July 4th, even though that was not that bad at the time. But we're really spiking now. This is the first major holiday that what Thanksgiving is, as you know, is families come together. You go travel, you go and have 20 people over for dinner and so forth. That has to be all now rethought. This year we're just having the immediate family, right? Luke and Eva, and my wife Nicole, me, and my mother-in-law. That's it, done. No, my brothers, their wives and all that stuff like we usually have. And that's going to trickle into Christmas, as you know, a big, huge holiday that, you have parties and all stuff. People have to remember, social distancing. Will people either forget or not do it? Of course, they're not going to do it. That's why it's been spreading so much as well. Some people don't like the masks. They just refuse to wear the masks in public. And so anyway, I hope that answered your question. So I think the way it works is if someone is really sick or God forbid dies from this, and you personally know that person, I think it would have a huge effect on you. But if you don't know anybody personally that has died from this, sad to say, some adolescents and some adults, obviously, but some adolescents, some students are just, whatever, that type of thing. It's sad to say, but, I'm in my own little world, and I can't wait to go socialize and, be on my phone and watch this video and so forth, as opposed to the big picture there. So sad to say, you might have to have a tragedy to really wake some people up. Not everybody, but, some people.